What's up, Chad? This is a whole house water filter from Culligan. Do something. What do you want me to do? Watching from Japan. What's up, John? John Daniel. So I'm looking at this going live. Yeah, I'm on City here in Charlotte. Tell me specifically, Ian, what you want me to do. Teach, show, but the idea for today's live was talking about switching stance switching, if it's should be taught, if so, at what level, at the beginning level, where fighters are building their foundation. Should it be taught on the foundation level? Should it be taught at the proficiency level? We're proficient in all areas, more of a pro. Filter out the chlorine and the fluoride. Absolutely. Yep. I don't know how gimmicky it is. I've had it for like 3 years, and they came and serviced it, and they probably at the house for 3 minutes, just testing the water, putting it in the tube. Shook it up, said it was still good, charged me $150. So, but yeah, answer the poll that when you log on, should a fighter learn to switch hit? Yes, no, depends on what their skill level is. What's up, Russia? Or you can comment if you want to add into this discussion about switch hitting. Do you think fighters should learn how to switch hit at the beginning level, intermediate level, advanced, pro level? Intermediate and advanced. You think, Denzel, you think at that level that fighters have a good basis foundation already and they can add more skills to their arsenal? What is your reason for saying intermediate and advanced level? Got it. Right. I guess, but Chad, they pressed on me that the importance of the maintenance. I didn't know what was involved in it. I should have asked more questions, but I didn't realize it was gonna be a 3-minute video, and I forgot to ask a question in particular while they were out here to test the water that was coming out of my water hose, so I would know if that's also like being filtered through the house before it goes to the hose. So, watching for the Philippines. What's up, Mark? What's up, Patrick? Sounds like a good investment in your health. Yeah, that was the plan. So there's a lot. I saw a video last week on Instagram that said, food, good clean water, and most importantly, all that is nil if you don't get good sleep. So that's my next goal for health. What's going on, Israel? So I have 11 answers on should a fighter learn to switch hit. 55% of people said yes, 36% said no, 9% said only at a certain skill level. Sorry, yeah, I'm shaking. So those that answered no, fighter shouldn't learn how to switch hit. What's your reasoning behind that? If you're still on. Chad said, I don't know enough to give my opinion, but I'm down to learn. Cool. Yeah, maybe this is an insightful conversation. I remember I learned to switch hit more so at the end of my pro career, and I played around with it earlier on, even as a amateur, but then really didn't ever switch hit in the ring. But the reason why I was interested in learning was to see the angles and the advantage or disadvantages that the southpaw had when I fight in my right-handed stance. Yes, you should, because it's good to have as much tools in the toolbox for different situations. All right. Like that. Hello, by the way. So, do you think it depends on the fighter? Depends on the coach who's teaching the stance switch? What do you think it depends on? Any factors that go into that? Salmandi, how you doing, man? If you're good at stance, stick with it. I fear a man who trained one skill 1,000 times, not someone who trains multiple skills 10 times. I can get with that. Famous quote by, I think, Bruce Lee. Did he say that? Probably mainly the fighter, but all factors come into play, I assume. But you should learn to switch it at certain levels. Coaching stance mattered. I think some styles won't work well with the switch. Yeah. Well, I guess it's how it's in tune the student is with boxing. Yeah. I like all that. Or at least would take more work. Every fighter should know it at some point. Practice mode. What's going on, Austin? How you been? We're talking about switching stance. Vote if you haven't. What do I think? I think that at the beginning level and the foundational level of boxing, that is not open to interpretation. I think the science is called a science for a reason, but at certain skill levels, that's when I feel like fighters can open up and explore other options. You know, there is a idea about play. A lot of times when I switch stance, I feel like I'm at play versus more serious. And a lot of Muay Thai fighters are more playful when they spar versus serious. And boxers have a fight gym mentality where they go hard in sparring, they go hard in the fight. Don't have any predictions for UFC. I need to look at the card. I need to. I hear it's a good card this weekend, but I don't know who's fighting. I apologize. I believe that a novice level, it is beneficial. It is beneficial, but ultimately, you will always have one stance that is better and more reliable. The defense from the non-dominant stance is usually the issue. I agree with that wholeheartedly, Jeff. I was gonna bring that up for sure. That was the first thing that came to mind when I switched to southpaw and my defense suffered on that southpaw stance. Yep. Defense suffered, but I know it can be built up. Everything can be trained. It's just double work at that point. Jeff, do you switch often, actively, even when you do partner drills, training, sparring? Sounds like it's like writing with your left hand, or you're right. Some ambidextrous. I agree. Yeah, there's a lot of science around brushing your teeth with a non-dominant hand to get your neurology updated, update your software of your mind. Yeah. And my daughter is left-handed. I'm training her in the southpaw stance, keeping her in her southpaw stance. But we were at the lake the other day and we were skipping rocks, and she was throwing the rock with her right hand. So I know it's a right-handed world, and a lot of left-handed fighters or left-handed people have to adapt, and they're more ambidextrous than right-handed people. Yeah, were you thinking the same thing, Austin? Yeah, very similar. All right, so we got 17 votes. Should a fighter learn to switch hit? 59% people said yes, 24% said no, and 18% said only at a certain skill level. I train it regularly, but if sparring, will simply stick to whatever strategies and techniques and tactics that are currently working instead of forcing a particular stance. Agreed. So pretty much when it gets a little bit more serious, going from a partner drill to sparring, then you go back to your first dominant stance. Is that right? And then you think about all the fighters that we know today that switch hit. Who was it? Hagler, Bud. Who else? Name some other switch hitters in boxing. Pac-Man. Does Pac-Man switch? I thought Pacquiao was just southpaw. Kind of switch. If that's the case, then maybe Mike Tyson kind of switched, because Mike Tyson would square himself up often too, and pretty much gave himself two right hands. I'm unable to twirl one hand in one direction and the other hand in the opposite direction, no matter how hard I try. But maybe these are mental barriers we need to break through the mind. Yep. I don't know how to pronounce that name, and I don't want to mess it up. Nicolino Loci, I believe. I have to look him up. Let me see. What century or decade is he from? Lino Lochi. Loach. I'm in my garage. I don't get a good Wi-Fi on my other phone, but I pulled it up. And really, this discussion, I'll show you where this discussion was born. Me and my homeboy Ra. Older fighter was known for his defense. I saw that on the YouTube clip. It wouldn't play, but I saw that load, so I'll have to go back and look at it. Thanks for live stream, boss. I have to drive somewhere, but I subscribed, and I'll see you next time. Appreciate you, Chad. Let's see. Let's see. So this is where the discussion started when, might not load, hold on. Let's see. Turn on my hotspot. Okay, there we go. Load it up. All right, loading up. Let's see. All right, this was the clip. This guy is doing a switch hit combination.
Shake, 1, 1, 2. Start again, 3 punches. Shake, 1, 1, 2. 3 punches. Shake, 1, 1, 2.
So my homeboy sent me that, asked if it's valid, and I initially said, I don't know, because it's the purist in me, the boxing purist in me. But if you pay attention to the crowd he's teaching, they have shin pads on, so the kickboxers. And I wouldn't be too upset about that. He's not teaching boxers how to switch hit. One of the rules I always hear in boxing, and you guys can comment on this, is when is it good or okay to switch? And typically I heard it's not okay to switch when a person's right in front of you. You want to maybe be, or in front of you in range, but maybe be a little bit further back, or switch after you take an angle, that type of thing. Switch maybe in close, so maybe not in mid-range, but close range is okay to switch where you're maybe in a clinch range or inside fighting range. So I got 19 votes, 58% of people said yes, switch hitting is should be taught. 26% said no, 16% said only at certain skill levels. All right, so got 5 people on. So the next question is, how important is stance switching? You think it's very important, somewhat important? Depends on individual styles. Not important at all, waste of time. Jeffrey says, I believe generally that it has to be disguised so it's not obvious. Agree with that. Or You just have to come out for the round in the opposite stance. That's a good thought too. Sit down as an orthodox fighter, get some instruction. Maybe inquire, maybe ask about ask your coach, or tell them what you're thinking. I want to switch. I see something. I want to switch, and when I go back out and switch to southpaw. Tari Gargan says, only switch when you know it's going to be effective because usually your defense is going to be the weaker with one stance, one side. I agree with that. That's something Jeffrey mentioned earlier. And that has been a real life experience for me. You got more reps on your dominant side, the side you learn from, so that makes sense. All right, so we're at almost the 25-minute mark. I didn't want to be on here too long, but wanted to pose that question. I also wanted to do this same poll on Instagram and find out the what everyone's opinion is on that platform, maybe even TikTok. I'm doing a little bit more on TikTok in the last week or so, and Jeffrey says, not very important from a fight perspective, but valuable during training. Switching during training potentially allows you the opportunity to train for longer and avoid overuse injury. I like that from a physical therapist standpoint of view. Jeffrey coming with the health perspective. That's a good one. That's a really good one. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna write that one down. Or if you have time, you can pop back up on my Instagram as well, Jeffrey. All right, this is about 10 more seconds. And I'm going to end this, and I'm going to jump back over to Instagram. Thank you for all chiming in. Talk to y'all later. Peace.